Distinguished guests, speakers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the second session of the BuildSG Lead Forum 2021 series, jointly organized by BCA and JTC. The BuildSG Lead Forum series is a platform for leaders of the built environment to gather and build knowledge as we champion the transformation of our sector. Through the sharing of innovations and exemplary practices, we hope to build collective wisdom and foster closer collaboration. Today's forum, theme Riding the Waves of Research and Innovation to BuildSG, will focus on how R&I will be one of the transformation areas for the future, and how we can leverage it to advance the built environment sector. We are honored to have a lineup of distinguished speakers and panelists this afternoon, each an expert in his field, to share their experience and expertise with us. Shown on the screen is an overview of today's program. Before we start, I would like to quickly run through some of the housekeeping measures. Please note that as participants, you are on mute setting. Should you have any questions or wish to contribute to the discussion, you may do so by clicking the Q&A button on your screen to type in your queries. Do also note that when the session ends, you will be directed to a feedback form. You will be able to download the presentation materials after you have submitted the form. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Hia Soon Po, Assistant Chief Executive Officer of JTC, to deliver the opening address. Mr. Hia, please.
Our industry partners, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and thank you for joining us at the BuildSG Lead Forum 2021. The past year has been challenging for the construction industry, and all of us have had to adjust to evolving safe management measures while at the same time managing manpower shortages and materials supply disruptions. It has not been easy, and it's through strong leadership and additional efforts expended by all of us which managed to keep our workers safe and our projects running. As an optimist, I see that the COVID-19 pandemic has presented us with the opportunity to relook our industry, making us more adaptable by accelerating digitalization and adopting technology innovation. It will go a long way to help us prepare for the future. The government is also committed to promoting long-term sustained R&D in 2020, we have unveiled a 25 billion research, innovation, and enterprise plan to build a more resilient, sustainable, and digital Singapore, leveraging science and technology. Key aspects of this plan include urban solutions, which covers the built environment and sustainability. Done correctly, with the innovations and greater digitalization, we can build resilience in the built environment. First of all, COVID-19 showed that past methods of supply chain efficiency and cost effectiveness has left many of us without buffers to respond to the effects of supply chain disruptions at the global scale. Companies intending to build supply chain resilience must now look towards designing and implementing simpler and shorter supply chains, diversify production bases, including doing production locally, and stockpiling essential production materials. Considerations of these attributes should better prepare us for future supply chain disruptions and delays in the execution of works on site. Secondly, we aim to foster a productive, integrated, and advanced sector that can build and maintain our infrastructure in a more sustainable and resource-efficient manner. Applications of robotics and automation for both on-site and off-site operations will become more prevalent, as well as developing and the use of new cost-effective and sustainable building materials. To increase manpower productivity, we must embark on using digital technologies to improve project management, enhance operational efficiency, and effectively maintain our buildings. Finally, the recent news on project delivery disruption show us that our heavy resilience on foreign manpower is not sustainable for the BE sector. Hence, we should aim for a manpower lean construction environment that adopts DFMA, of which building components are manufactured in highly automated factories off-site and assemble on site with much reduced crew of workers. Through adoption in robotics and automation, we can strive to improve productivity, quality, and safety. To this end, BCA and JTC have jointly set up and co-chair a multi-agency robotics and automation implementation committee, RAIC, comprising members from the government procurement entities to drive robotics and automation in the BE sector. As a first step, the RAIC is looking at proliferating the use of drones for building facade inspection, robots for cleaning, and to test autonomous goods mover robots in the construction site. To conclude, as we strive towards advancing the built environment sector, we as leaders of the sector must use this opportunity to improve processes, adopt sustainable practices, and embrace automation in our operations. JTC and BCA will continue to partner you and drive that much needed transformation that our industry needs, emerging stronger to take on tomorrow's challenges. I thank you for joining this forum and hope you will enjoy the program specially lined up today for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hia, for the positive note. Our first presentation for the BuildSG Lead Forum today is Enabling Research and Innovation in the Built Environment, presented by Mr. Jonathan Cheng, Director, Built Environment Technology Alliance, BCA. Jonathan has been with BCA since 2008. During his career with BCA, he went on a 2-year secondment to the National Research Foundation, where he promoted R&D to enable national initiatives in energy resilience and environmental sustainability. In 2016, he led the strategic planning team at BCA to formulate the construction industry transformation map. Today, he is working together with our built environment firms to build the Built Environment Technology Alliance, BETA. Let us welcome Mr. Jonathan Cheng. Jonathan, please.
Thanks, Walong, for the introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jonathan from BCA. Today, it is my pleasure to share with all on the topic of enabling research and innovation in our built environment. Without a doubt, COVID has singularly disrupted anything and everything that we've cared about. However, we had embarked on our transformational journey before COVID hit, via our construction ITM to pave the way for digital integration and good jobs. And so, while we may have been hit hard, our early shifts and collective spirit have allowed many of us to appreciate the importance of digitalization, productivity, and sustainability. I believe many can attest to continuing meaningful work even through the toughest period. I am heartened that we are moving forward in these directions, illustrated by our encouraging and steady progress. I urge everyone to continue this journey. Our journey is a marathon, one we will keep going at a pace that can sustain the distance, building upon the base that we have begun from to drive transformation and enable us to stay ahead. We had identified an integral trio in integrated digital delivery, simply digitalization, design for manufacturing and assembly, largely productivity, and green building, essentially sustainability. These 3 aspects transcend across construction, landscaping, security, real estate, even facilities management. With the complexity and diversity of our built environment, to realize transformation, innovation, and technology is one of 4 enablers. And I shall touch on how our Built Environment Science and Technology Plan, or BES&T plan, guides our development of this pivotal enabler. 5 capability development areas have been identified from the 3 transformation areas that we will focus our capability building efforts on. The first, I am certain, resonates with all: the importance of seamless connection with stakeholders, streamlining work processes through digital technologies, coupled with an integrated digital environment. Secondly, the manual nature of work and reliance on manpower can be shifted to greater building automation and robotics, both on and off-site. Sustainable urban infrastructure in itself needs no further introduction as we transit to a more sustainable, low-carbon built environment. And on the regulatory front, safety with speed can be enhanced through smart tech in our inspection and approval. A noteworthy endeavor is CorNet X, announced in October by Minister Desmond Lee. This one-stop integrated digital platform is a testament of how innovation and tech will redefine the process of regulatory submissions to agencies. This is expected to be ready by end 2023. Our S&T plan begins with various promising aspects with the potential for transformation. In this slide, I attempt to elaborate a little what relevant tech may exist in each transformation area, from task-specific site management platform that is becoming common, emerging solutions but not quite ready in blockchain for smart contracts, to the possibility of 3D printing and advanced materials that can promise more than resilience. We operate in a dynamic environment, so it's important we stay in touch and be prepared to adjust, expand or deepen in areas where necessary. 3 approaches guide our research, innovation, and adoption efforts. Starting with identifying promising areas to pursue, I had depicted some of such areas in previous slides that were informed through roadmaps and industry engagement. Firms with the scale and resources can leverage various platforms to build capabilities in relevant areas that align with their business priorities or challenge statements. These can take the form as national challenges or via open innovation channels. To enable good ideas to flow, a vibrant ecosystem is essential. Firms that leverage technology as a key aspect of their business can serve as receptacles and influence the value chain positively. Firms can draw on the national research, innovation, and enterprise infrastructure through our universities, polytechnics, and research institutes to strengthen their innovation and technology capability and capacity. And where regulation or familiarity can inhibit wider adoption of ready technology, we will continue to enable a conducive environment that facilitates clearance, generates demand, and lowers barrier to initial adoption. I will elaborate in subsequent slides key initiatives that underpin our 3 science and tech approaches. The COT program, it's a multi-agency effort led by M&D to identify challenges that cities face and develop solutions to address them. Supported by more than 100 million of funding, the areas as illustrated span across our urban solutions and sustainability domain. The range of areas provide a flavor of both the complexities cities face, from resilience, sustainability, livability, as well as the opportunities where meaningful and impactful R&D can realize new insights and capabilities. Since 2017, we have run 3 grant calls and awarded close to 40 projects. Successes will be shared progressively at various platforms, such as our Urban Sustainability R&D Symposia, which we typically do so as a 2-day physical event, but have instead extended virtually as a series of webinars over the year. I hope you had a chance to participate in at least one, and we will continue sharing our successes and learnings. We also recognize there are built environment firms who see research and innovation as an integral aspect of their business. Through the Built Environment Technology Alliance, or BETA, we wish to support firms who are willing and able to come together to make sustained investments in research and innovation to build competitive advantage. BCA will work with like-minded firms to identify and develop impactful opportunities, drawing on the expertise that reside in our ecosystem so that commercialization happens with value suitably gained by our forward-thinking firms. And towards a vibrant ecosystem, we encourage open innovation through our Built Environment Accelerate to Market program. Innovators such as startups have the opportunity to develop solutions to the challenges our firms face. These can be in supply chain, 5G, themes that are elaborations of our BES&T plan. The mantra adopted is to fail fast or not, and in doing so, we can learn fast, shift, and move on. Hence, the program is structured nimbly in 2 phases. The first that accelerates solutioning to prove the concept, and the second that develops a minimum viable product that can then be adopted. We have run 3 cycles since 2019 to encouraging participation and some success. We will be running cycle 4 in 2022, so look out for that. Complementing our broad-based initiatives, we have in place domain-specific programs to build up specialized capabilities in our ecosystem. One such domain is robotics and automation, a potential enabler for industry transformation. COVID has highlighted the need to accelerate adoption of appropriate solutions to reduce our dependency on low-skilled workers and raise productivity. This will not be an easy feat, but we must try. With support by the National Robotics Program, the built environment has its dedicated effort to target impactful applications that can prove themselves in our operating environment. These are largely in off-site manufacturing and on-site assembly, where we have identified key aspects in factory automation for ease of on-site installation, as well as task-level on-site applications like goods mover. So far, 2 grant calls have been made, with close to 10 projects awarded since end 2019, and these are ongoing. GBIC is another domain-specific program, an integrated research, development, and demonstration hub for building energy-efficient solutions. Its objective, it's aligned with the aspirations in our Singapore Green Building Master Plan, to experiment with novel solutions that enable super low energy buildings to be attained, exhibit actual demonstrations in buildings, and enable the sharing and exchange of best practices and data to foster collaborations among industry and the research community. Since GBIC started in 2014, we have continued to push the envelope of environmental sustainability. More than 40 projects at various stages of development have been supported, and close to half have completed. Rounding up our ecosystem to facilitate and fast-track adoption of solutions from early research and innovation stages through to downstream deployment, we have the Built Environment Living Laboratory Framework, launched in 2020 to support test bidding of any innovative proposal in real-world sites. An expedited process is also in place to enable solutions with merit to be considered despite unfamiliarity by the industry, and so far more than 10 proposals have benefited. And if a solution may face some regulatory considerations, the Building Innovation Panel, formed in 2011, comprising of key regulatory representatives, is committed to facilitate such challenges that typically inhibit new innovations. The panel expanded its scope in 2019 into nascent areas like robotics and automation, advanced in sustainable building materials, and this multi-agency platform will continue to play this crucial role. To highlight a couple of successful efforts, the first is the development of a digital twin platform for smart and green buildings by UTech Cybernetics. Instead of monitoring multiple management systems of different building services, a virtual representation of the physical building provides a single platform where real-time data from IoT sensors coupled with simulated data can optimize the overall performance of the building, saving energy, manpower with improved comfort. The solution has been deployed across 27 shopping malls in 6 countries. The second example illustrates how agencies have worked with industry to identify and develop alternatives to improve concrete. These include alternative sources of aggregates, concrete that can self-heal or bend, to name a few. Our desire is through innovation and technology to develop viable solutions that can overcome long-term issues in a material that is most widely used after water, yet is the foundation of modern development. More recently, in an effort to develop solutions to strategic imperatives through the BM's National Innovation Challenge track, both the public and private sectors have come together to address the challenges to cleaning, inspecting, and repairing of building facades. Elite Technology and VertiClean will be taking this on in partnership with JTC, CDL, Frasers Property, and Hong Kong Land to develop an integrated approach that reduces the risk of working at height, tapping on automation to improve safety, productivity, and resilience. Such technologies will progressively be beneficial to the facilities management sector, especially as our built environment ages. Fusionopolis 1 will be one of the test bed sites when ready. So I've shared today our game plan, various programs and platforms that serve to enable innovation and technology capabilities and capacities for the built environment sector. These serve to steer us towards a common direction, drive lead demand for adoption by the willing and able, as well as raise the options of solutions through a suite of schemes. Both aspects are necessary and reinforce each other, and through partnerships with like-minded stakeholders, we hope to catalyze our transformation. And to conclude, make innovation and technology an enabler of your growth. Join us and together, let's build a sustainable and resilient sector of the future. So thank you all for your attention. For convenience, I've compiled web links to the various initiatives I've shared. You may access any that you have interest in to find out more. You will also find information about funded projects under respective initiatives. Please enjoy the subsequent items by our distinguished presenters. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan, for the presentation. Our next speaker is Mr. John Keong from JTC, who will be speaking on JTC's drive to transform the built environment through innovative solutions. John is the Deputy Director from the Built Environment Automation Department and leads the team in working towards the aspiration of reducing life cycle cost, improving productivity, quality, and safety, and creating greater sustainability and resilience for the building and infrastructure domain. John, over to you, please.
Hi, very good afternoon to all. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you JTC's drive to transform the built environment through our innovative solutions. So without much further ado, I will just quickly touch on what we'll cover. We will touch first on the built environment sector and the need for transformation, where we are currently, transforming the built environment through our automation, digitalization, and sustainability. And I'll have a quick recap for all. Okay, first, I think we touched a lot on just now about the need for transformation, especially in the backdrop of a COVID situation. If we are aware that actually our built environment cluster accounts for about 10% of our GDP and 30% of workforce, this comprises quite a substantial quantity. And our built environment itself actually, through this year, has still been very traditional. We still rely a lot on labor, and we have rigid supply chain and very entrenched processes. So with this, we will need to transform. Especially with COVID happening, we are starting to hear a lot more of our built environment and our construction industry facing the challenges. Every other day, I mean, even for myself, through our projects, every other day I'll get an update of COVID plus cases. It is constantly giving us problem on site, especially managing the manpower to carry out the work, even based on our pre-COVID days, the program and the schedule. So this migrant labor workforce will continue, is facing shrinking, and this will increase, in fact, our manpower cost significantly. So apart from that, we also have supply chain logistic issues. We are already facing, bringing in materials and catching up in terms of the production. So this area is also one that we need to continue to face in terms of the challenges ahead. So right now, companies are now considering a lot of many factors beyond efficiency in their supply chains, with the shift towards greater resilience, shorter supply chain, and really trying to locate our production base near. So I think with that, an IBM study actually shows that about 59% of companies has actually started on this accelerated digitalization process. So with that, I think the world will not go back to our normal. It will continue to change, right? And we will need to settle down into a new norm. So with that, I think for us to transform, there are still challenges faced by industry, right? Especially the built environment. So these are some of the challenges and gaps that we observe. First is a very entrenched work process. We are still doing things very much how it has been done. Foreign labor dependent. I touched on that quite a bit just now. There is also high risk of investment, where many of the R&D and innovations will not see immediate fruits that can be applied directly on site and reap the benefit at this moment, right? So apart from that, there is also this capability and knowledge gap. What I mean is that many of our built environment are actually construction companies, and the focus is actually the construction skills, not so much about automation or robotics, which is altogether a different field. There is also a fear of robots replacing human, especially among the ground crew, right? So this is a gap, that and fear from them that they will eventually be obsolete. So apart from that, I think just now Jonathan also touched about a regulatory framework. Sometimes new innovation straddles across different policies and different even components of the industry, and these new areas need to have a regulatory framework formed to support the application of new innovation. And of course, we need to continue to have the safe distancing measures. This remains a challenge, reducing our workforce. With that, I think we broadly see that there's possibility to focus on 3 areas where we try to tackle this. One is cobotization. What I mean is human working together with equipment or robot to execute the tasks to improve efficiency. While we may not reach the automation and everything in an automatic way that fast, we see this as cobotization as the first step to embark first. We also think it's important to focus on manpower intensive tasks and low-hanging fruits. These are things that we can target first. So for example, like concreting robots, spray painting robots, material transport, cleaning robots. These are some of those that we can focus on first in order to reap the low-lying fruits, right? And of course, we target to continue to partner and collaborate on multiple platforms with our agencies, of course with DCA, right? With our LTAA stars, and also with our MOU and our institutes. So we hope that through this approach, all of us will be able to benefit and transform the built environment together. This is a snapshot of what we hope for, in the future, how a whole construction site would be, from connectedness through a digital platform, carrying out the work with the robot's help, and efficient project management, equipment, sensors. So I hope this gives a glimpse of how we hope our whole built environment and work site will be in the future. But nonetheless, there will be challenges, like we mentioned just now, and we also need a roadmap and a plan to help us to move towards this on a progressive manner. So here in JTC, we will be focusing on 3 key areas. One, transforming the built environment through digitalization and automation. Secondly, for smart buildings, estate and facility management with low life cycle costs. And finally, in terms of sustainable and resilient estate with low carbon impact, right? So I will touch on each of this a little bit more as we move on. Transforming the built environment through automation. This gives a snapshot of our roadmap. You can see we have divided into a near term, a mid-term, and a long term, where take for example, for advanced project management in the construction area first, we see the immediate ones as digital PM, where we have machine vision, safety inspection, IoT. These are more the immediate fruits that we can target on. A mid-term, moving into a smart PM, where we have quality inspection robots, integrated schedule, and finally, automated one in the future, where we have AI-enabled planning and all things automated, right? In the construction itself, from machine-assisted cobotization, right, to subsequently in the midterm with robots that are able to do single tasks and in the long term work together, right? Similarly, in FM, facility management, we see tele-operated ones, semi-autonomous in current state, fully autonomous in the midterm, and finally, a swarm of robots that can just be sent out and do the whole job by itself. I will show you a little bit of some of our projects that we have done. This one is on it's called QuickerBot. It's actually automated quality inspection. There are, as you can see here, it covers some of those savings, manpower savings and time savings. I'll show you a little clip of how this operates. Next, we have quite a similar one with PictoBot, which is an automated spray painting robot. Okay, so to move things forward, actually, we are currently embarking on a project to take the QuickerBot, the quality inspection one, to the next level, where we're trying to incorporate the BIM component together with the QuickerBot, and eventually, instead of the whole idea is that you can go. This next one is on facade cleaning. I think just now Jonathan did mention a little bit on this, where we subsequently carried out a project together with the developers. So this was like the phase one that we did with the company, and through this we managed to achieve manpower and water savings. I'll quickly just run a quick video so that you can see a little bit more details. So what we did was we had a trial on the first phase where right now, actually the whole gondola process is still manual, except the cleaning arm and all those are automated. So under this sort of like a follow-up phase where we under the BM platform, where we will be this project through together with the two companies. And the key right now is actually automating the entire process and also to have value add services, for example, like an inspection, quality inspection, together incorporated into the cleaning process. So it's like a two-in-one, right? So another example of what we had was a cup extruder and some of our one of our KTC project, where we carried out and managed to achieve manpower savings through this project itself. We have incorporated this into our specs itself, so it has allowed companies, contractors to put forth such innovative application in the future as they bid for new projects. Next is a concrete finishing robot project that we're going to carry out together with JTC and Kajima and NTU. This will be used at Kajima's new HQ in Changi, their gear building. We'll be carrying out also this DigiSoup and Mobile Man project together with NTU. Actually, this is a mover that will be able to climb stairs. And currently, right now, we're going to carry out the trial in one of our JTC site. Under our innovation challenge call last year, there are two projects here. These two projects here are actually done under that platform, where it's used for our estate defect detection. One runs on a mobile application, and the other one is a mounted camera. The whole idea is to drive through our estate and through the process automated the whole defects detection and pick up all this and put it into a report. Similarly, under this innovation challenge platform, we are also carrying out a tree health monitoring. So similarly, it's the whole idea on the left one that you see. It's incorporating a camera on the car, and you drive by, and we'll be able to pick up trees that are not healthy, where it needs further checks by the forest. The other one on the right, you see, is using satellite imagery to also achieve the same purpose. So right now we are carrying out these trials, and we hope that it will be useful. And in fact, our initial findings, we have very keen interest from our colleagues from our other agencies who hope to apply this for further trials. We are also carrying out using remote inspection for our reclamation work. The one you see here actually is an underwater remote vehicle. It replaces the traditional divers. So for example, an application that you see here is for the slope protection. We will usually apply a geofabric, and there is a need for an overlapping of this geofabric. So instead of the manual diver, we are testing out using this remote vehicle to go underwater to check. And what it offers is it improves productivity because it can operate in a higher water condition and improve safety. Sorry. Just a quick one on this. This is a intelligent remote inspection solution. Basically, it's a 360-degree camera mounted on the helmet itself. You just imagine it's actually like a Google Street View, where we periodically walk that same area, and then we have a whole archive of the progress of the project. You are able to click the different dates, and we'll be able to compare the time of the progress of the works itself. And the good thing is it will be able to pinpoint the location and the auto stitching of this. So these are just some examples that we carried out in the area of automation and robotics. I'll quickly touch on our digitalization process and transforming the built environment through this area. Our approach is looking at digital design and coordination, digital manufacturing and fabrication, digital reporting, construction, and digital asset management. Okay, here you see here that we have devised a progressive plan where we have 3 levels of maturity. Level 1 is looking at digital assistant, where the tools are available to help staff perform their work and improve quality. There are some processes change here, but I think it's enables previous tedious tasks of manual activities to be done in a more accurate manner. The fundamental technology here enables this is actually with the usage of BIM, right? And a CDE and allowing things to digitalize the objects and to have identity. And through this become a stored, we stored digitally. And then this allow us to move into a level 2 maturity where digital automation. This is where people are able to automate the creation and the process of certain digital content and data or tasks together, right? And to perform it in a certain way that we can improve the whole process and workflow. And then enabling the manpower to do to take up higher skills activities and freeing the manpower. With more automation, we'll be able to build up a bigger database, right? And eventually, with this, the machine learning, we are looking at the level 3 maturity, where is a long-term goal, where we hope that the AI component comes in. Some of our efforts, this is one where it's a new software for Eurocode element design and detailing of industrial precast component, where you marry together, where currently right now manual checks are needed to extract the relevant data. But with this, the structural analysis software itself is able to fit into the precast design software. This is just an example where the output of it will be able then to be extracted in an Excel file, and then on the other end be received into the detailed design. Okay, I'll just quickly move on. Next example of this project management tool that we have carried out in one of the project. Actually, this is called Lean Plan Do. Basically, it's a cloud-based collective planning application, and to help the project team manage and reduce challenges of project schedule, project delays, and to have a greater workflow and productivity excite. So together, actually, we have tried out in many of our projects already, of which 21 projects have been adopting this through our, and we have estimated about 30 over million savings. The average cost savings is about 1.4% of contract sum, and we migrated about 10% of construction delays through the use of this app. So we hope through this, there will be also greater data mining, which can be applied, then be useful for future project execution, for example, like a price estimate, timing, in order to reduce, and also to reduce waste. Okay, quickly touch on this. An example of what we did was to have an end-to-end digital logistic tracking system. This has been successfully tested out, so the tracking component actually starts right from the precast stage, finally to the final installation itself. And with this, we can greatly gain both time and manpower savings. This is just an example of how we have used a biometric authentication system with a digital linking it with the digital permit to work. So with this, quite immediately we can test out whether there are any false declaration where through this app we will be able to verify the physical presence of the person to the permit that is issued, and so that the right person actually carry out the right role or the right work outside itself. Last on this area of digitalization, this is an example of what we did with a project to do a 6D BIM for facility management. The idea is to have an open standard BIM platform, connecting it to the facility management application, and to test out and manage the information so that throughout the entire life cycle of building, we'll be able to test its effectiveness. So we hope through this. Currently, we are still going through a tedious task of working on building up this database, and we hope through this we'll be able to improve the cost effectiveness and productivity in terms of our facility management. Okay, I'll quickly touch on the last one, transforming our built environment through sustainability and resilience. Once again, we'll show this is a roadmap of what we are focusing on in terms of improving this whole area of sustainability. Similarly, from near, mid, and long term, we are focusing on these 5 areas: new materials, sustainable cooling, resilience, infrastructure, smart control, and renewables. I think I will not touch on too much details because it's quite a lot here. But later on, if you have interest to find out a little bit more, we can have a separate check on that, right? Just to run through quickly on some of those projects that we have done on this area. areas. Oops, so my apologies about it. Okay, the first one is on the Fero Shield. This is basically a fire protection coating, and we've done through together with NTU. And basically, it offers strong cohesion and it can be spray painted on both in a cost-effective manner and providing good aesthetics. So these are just some of the outcomes or the findings, as you can see over here in terms of the savings. Just now, Jonathan also shared some on the bendable concrete, right? Complex pave. This was a joint project with NTU, and we have effectively actually tested this out on some of the road pavement, especially at some of the bus bay, right? And both the tests on site actually showed that in terms of the strength performance, they are able to meet. And through the whole life cycle itself, we have been monitoring for quite a while, and it has really reduced in terms of the maintenance required. Similarly, this can be applied for curb, and we realize actually the use of curb actually is more effective and more durable with the effects coming in much later. Yeah. And we are looking at including this into the specs for roadside acceptable roadside material, road curb, for use of for road curb, and we are working together with the committee to see whether we can include this as one of those accepted standard materials. A quick one on this fast wrap. This is actually a spray, a so-called laminate, basically like a double-sided tape. If I put it in layman terms, is where you can apply onto structural components that you need to improve them against blast. And the quick thing is that this the application is very easy and quick, and therefore it's able to reduce manpower and cost savings, right? One of the projects that we did actually is on municipal waste slag, using it in the construction. Likewise, we have tested this out right now, going to test it out in one of our road pavement in Tuas Western Coast area. This is actually similar to what Jonathan shared just now, one of those that has been used in Tampines. So we hope to test this out on a bigger scale, and hopefully through the results we will find it useful, and then this becomes a viable material from a sustainable perspective to be used. We have carried out a project also on biogrout phase 2. This is basically come out with a material where we hope a new construction material that can treat soil and rock and seal underground cracks. Currently, right now, it's still ongoing for the second phase. We hope that through this, to verify the performance and the feasibility of this as a cement substitute, and to reduce our reliance on cement. A quick one on this, we have a model predictive control. Basically, this is an automated system that takes in the weather condition and then adjusting the ACMV to improve in terms of the cost and of running the system itself, right? So currently, right now, this is ongoing, and we hope that through this, we'll be able to with NTU together, we hope that this will translate into R&D application to other users. Okay, last one that I'll quickly share on some of this. This is a painting project where we'll use a we'll use a paint to reduce the heating on our rooftop. So currently, right now, we are carrying this trial out in one of our projects in Ayer Rajah, and through that, we hope we can show that it is to prove the effectiveness to reduce the air condition load. Finally, right now, we are carrying out a study to come out with a embodied carbon calculator. So together with NUS, actually this project is running and ongoing now. We hope that this will then set the baseline and to be able to map out where we are in order to help us to move towards this reducing carbon use in our construction industry. We have recently also started embarking this to have a version for our reclamation project too. Last but not least, we are carrying out a study together with NUS also to map out through a survey to our current status of our construction demolition waste and management in Singapore, and to if hopefully through it, we'll provide a recommendation to improve our local CDW management practices. So all in all, I think I covered this 3 areas, and we hope here in JTC that we can apply in a pragmatic approach projects that really helps in terms of improving the actual works on the ground itself. We are looking at deployability. We are looking at actual implementation. So just to recap, so in this 3 areas, automation, robotics, digitalization, and also new materials and sustainability. So all through this, we hope, through these technologies that we are trying out and implementing on site, that we will help to improve productivity and resilience and transform the built environment through these areas. So thank you once again, and I hope we look forward to opportunities where we can work with you for new projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. The next presentation for this afternoon is on achieving breakthroughs through the adoption of innovation solutions and technologies in Sabana Jurong, presented by Mr. Eugene Seah, Managing Director, Smart City Solutions. Mr. Seah is the Managing Director of Sabana Technologies, pushing Sabana Jurong's smart cities agenda. With his combined experience in contract, project value, and cost management, sustainability, and digital and smart solutions, Eugene brings to the table a wealth of well-rounded knowledge for development and asset management for projects and solutions to his clients and key accounts. Mr. Seah, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. And so I'd like to thank BCA for inviting me to, and my colleagues, Pravin, to give a talk. This is something on what we did in our HQ in Sabana Jurong. And I'm very pleased to be able to share with you the 3 verticals that we're looking at. First is IDD, second is sustainability, and the third will be on smart technologies. Right, okay, all right. So this is, sorry. So this is our campus vision. It's basically to look at making our new global headquarters at the new SJ campus. And when completed by 2022, this 70,000 odd meter square development will serve to demonstrate what a smart, sustainable, maintainable, people-centric, and future-ready workplace will look like. And I have to add that it's all underpinned by digital and technology as well. So a little bit of our campus. Its developer is SJID, SJ Capital, sorry, JID for short. The design architect is Safdi, and of course, internal consultants will be SJ Consultants, project management by SIPM, and the interior designers by D+H. My team is looking at the IDD works as well as sustainability. And in terms of putting the smart tech inside, so that when it comes to living in the building, it's all going to be run by technology. So it's the overall site is about 28,000 meters square, and with a 2.4 development ratio. It's located very near NTU at Clean Tech Loop, and I must say that it's a nice, pristine place where it's really akin to nature, because it's really smack within a forest area. So as you can see, we are actually in a way in the east-west position, and we are also quite near several buildings as well. So in terms of the design, there was a lot of thought on how we can build this in a way to house different teams in the different floors. But again, the site has posed some challenge to us, which will demonstrate to you how this can be overcome by both passive and active design, and yet still make it within cost. Because I was just reading some of the Q&A that they are saying that cost is definitely high. True, but with careful design and with good QSing, we will be able to see how we can work within a good business case. Now, this project had to be IDD from day one, so we expected within the specifications that we want to have integrated digital delivery. Not only that, we want to walk the talk with a good CDE. We want to ensure that we use tools like virtual reality to be able to see what we want to do, and also have this IDD plan. And in the course of working with this with our campus, we also managed to attain our ISO 19650, and also did a deep dive on the IDD framework for the different disciplines. So whether you're a developer, whether you're a consultant, whether you're a contractor, or even a subcontractor, we managed to work out that workflow so that we'll be able to understand how we can improve our design methodology and philosophies within the common data environment, whether it's BIM 360 or is it project-wise, because we know that when Connect X is actually coming, so we need to ensure that we stay ahead of the game, whether it's a multidisciplinary team or whether you're in a single team, you are employed bespokely. This must actually work. So this is just an example of how you can see Mr. Wong and Mushi, Sakti Architects. This was in our cave, and it was this cave has actually won us several awards, international ones from RICS and local ones as well. And this has actually brought a new dimension to VDC, as well as it doesn't. I hit some of my clients as you say, hey, at least my hairdo doesn't get affected, because when you wear that goggle, it actually affects the hair. This one, you just wear a glass and you walk in, and you can have the same thing as in terms of the experience for VR, but it's a bit better. You can actually have 5 guys, and right now this is a 5-man cave. We are now looking at building a 40-man cave in campus itself. We also start to look at, okay, so qualification, this was way before COVID, yeah. So really, we could actually bring a whole team in, and we could actually troubleshoot floor height, in terms of view angles, for example. And there was a situation where bosses were actually saying that look, they want to make sure they have a good view of who's coming down and who's walking. So we actually had to move the roof, one level up as well. So all this actually happens all within the virtual environment. So it becomes a digital rehearsal, right? On not only just on construction, but also on views. So because of the IDD approach, right? So in terms of working, whether is it with IDA or BeamLink, or is it Revit, so we had partners that come in, and I must say that the partner companies came in really well, working very closely with us. And our EBA, Enterprise Business Agreements, with Autodesk, for example, came in very handy. And they actually came in to work together with us to improve our IDD process and to see how we can actually bring it to the next step with our clients. Not only that, we also worked when a contractor came in, and that's Bousted. They even spoke to us and said, could we use Novate and together with our audience? And so Crown, Eugene, is the one that's pushing on Novate. And I must say that it's a really good system in terms of looking at construction within the site itself and understanding what are the issues to actually follow up in the Novate software. So speaking through to IDD, we also made sure that we could use the models, right, to carry out simulations. And later when I'll show you the digital twin, it's really a project that we can embrace, and I must touch my heart to say, I know that embrace the 4 pillars of what BCA is trying to do, right? Whether it's design, DFMA, construction, or even asset management. Because in terms of asset management, this is something that we are taking the BIM models, going through SMM, which is the SJ's FN company, and put it within Omni, which is the BIM management software for facilities management. all this is going to go onto our platform that is called 24K under Sabana Technologies. Again, bringing all the 4 pillars all into one. And I think the blessings is that because it's all within one house, right? It's one place. We are able to work together and try to meet these objectives, and in a way find out how we can improve. Now everybody will say, "Ah, yeah, you're in one house, like everybody can, everybody will listen to each other." Actually, no. It's a situation that we had to, sit down and iron out, iron out challenges and understand how we can actually overcome. So I have to say that it's very blessed to be able to be all under one roof and where we can learn. But the spirit of partnering and collaboration has to be in every one of us, all the seniors there, to ensure whether from whatever disciplines, architecture, at CNS, ME, even project management, moving forward. Next slide. Sorry, Amber, can you go to the next slide for me? I'm having some issues controlling from here. Thank you very much. So we looked at master planning guidelines also to incorporate how JTC's guidelines will be able to marry into our future home. There was a request. There were requests on high level of connectivity, porosity, that these are issues of security. There must be a green landscape with a green blue landscape, 100% replacement. But then again, we have to hit the SLEVs and the roof. We have fresco up there, ME equipment up there, PV space up there. So there was a lot of coordination to ensure that this could actually happen. Resource efficiency, smart, efficient district management, and that's where our 24K integrated management came in. Smart urban environment, and also a living learning lab, whereby we could even work with, the whole idea is to build a place whereby people can actually come in and work with us, take space with us and work with us to come up with integrated systems and process, which I think the most important, because buying technologies is easy. Working with it and incorporating it within the process itself, that's the challenge. So in terms of looking at the key project features, I just summarized. We have for self-facade shading. In terms of the block orientation as well, there were some challenges. So we had to have a reverse terrace, ABC water design, large greenery, urban heat island mitigation, underfloor service spaces, and this was one of the largest in Singapore that's ever been deployed. Solar PV provision, smart lighting, smart toilets, later I'll go through that with you, integrated building management system, as well as live energy and water management dashboard. So this all came into organization, into a design coordination to ensure that we could bring a garden into the campus, as well as the campus to move into the garden with and not spoil nature and not affect nature. So things like biomimicry, biophilism was employed in the way we designed it, and in this case, it's actually self-shading, as you can see here. So the next slide actually shows, okay, so there were energy savings that we had, and in terms of the SLEV, we hit our 40.43%. And what we are also looking at is now pushing the boundaries. How can we go beyond SLEV? So mind you, this is before 2021, 3 months 2020 out. But we were looking at how we can ensure holistic sustainable design. So not only just energy efficiency, but occupants well-being as well. So we're going to have Wells International, and all this is going to be put and integrated within our platform itself. We are also looking at carbon footprinting with carbon neutrality in 2030. And I must say that in terms of maintainability as well, we are also looking at how we can decrease labor intensity, look at operational energy efficiency as well, and equipment downtime, where we are putting our sensors inside, eating our own breakfast, eating our own dinner, to do predictive analysis. One thing that is not inside here that we are also now looking at is on true waste. How we will be able to ensure our waste, 100% of the waste on the campus doesn't go into Pulau Semakau, for example. We are looking at this sort of bold statements to see how this is going to be carried out. So in terms of GBIC demonstration, we're looking at UFADs, IoT, indoor environment quality, smart sense, and this is to look at how we can optimize the chilled water and the UFAD system, smart lighting systems, smart washrooms as well. We've got a picture to show you later, as well as how we look at smart electrical outlets, from how we can actually demonstrate all these. And if this is actually scaled up in the whole campus, we are actually looking at 7.7% saving, and this is over and above that of the super low energy building requirements. So this is just an example of how the smart wireless VAB diffusers. Now, if I can draw your attention to the picture on the right, you can see on the floor next to the guy's foot or the lady's foot, you see like a little hair coming out. So that's where we are, it's collecting sensors and it's able to then quickly send information to the IBMS to be able to adjust the temperature. We are cooling from the film area onwards at 1.65 meters, so that we do not waste the energy that's going to be that's needed to cool the overhead air. So again, these are just some of the things that we use, designs that we use to help us in terms of saving energy. So aircon is very important, and so we are working with Siemens to see how we can optimize our ACMP. And that is really a holistic approach for chilled water air distribution system, and with a target of 15% energy savings. And again, with the BMS and our 24K, it's going to be plug and play, so that we'll be able, if there's more systems that come in, we'll be able to plug it in and be able to from our 24K system, suck the data out to then do predictive management and maintenance, so that again our building becomes a living learning lab itself. Most importantly is to improve well-being, wellness, and something that we're very eager to study on that, because if people say I have biophilic design, yeah, so what? So these are the things that we are looking at to see how does it really improve productivity. Does it ensure that you are energized within the space itself. So this is again very, very interesting building that we have, and looking at how we can actually improve and stretch the boundaries. So again, the research on novelty and goals is really to see how we are able to get energy savings, well-being, as well as knowing how we are able to then improve system reliability and control. We'll be studying also how we can put an FDD system that we have just worked with SJNTU within our 24K system as well, so that actually brings another edge to what we are doing within the building. Smart washroom, again, how can we improve that productivity? For example, a lesser labor that's actually needed, that's actually manpower savings from the traditional performance of washroom maintenance. How can we save water and so on and so forth? So some of the sensors that we are putting inside is quite interesting, and things like wetness sensor, ammonia sensor, soap sensor, and again, these are not really superly expensive things. There will be a payback, and the payback will be savings on labor and on utilities and so energy, so and so forth, right? So I think this is really going to be a very interesting place we're going to be having. Can't wait to move in next year. So moving on to the smart. So in terms of you put all the sensors in, we have to ensure that we also can come into our IBMS and into our platform as well. So there will be things like real-time monitoring, smart sensors, data analytics. There's also a workflow management support, modules to support, all within the CMMS itself. And we have an RBS system that helps to manage, because RBSs are very important, so that if the rooms are not booked, aircons are not going to be on, neither will the lights and utilities. So again, this all has to work holistically as one, right? So You start on the good design in IDD, good DFMA, good construction. Now we need to make sure for the next 27 years, we need to make sure that, for next, it's the 30-year construction, you have 27 years, 28 years. We need to make sure that how we run it, we need to walk off top. And having a platform that integrates all these together is paramount, because if not, then it's going to be one piecemeal of information. So 24K is our horizontal platform, right? Ladies love this because it's 24 karat gold, but it's actually 24. We were monitoring 24,000 lists, but now we have actually it's gone up to 30 over 1,000. But we just kept the name. But my boss likes it because it's 24 hours working. But as well, it's true. The system, the platform, the AIs are working 24 hours. But it's able to then plug into things like business management system, digital workspace, FM, IEMS, and even security and facilities management. So it's really bringing the best of what the verticals that we have in SJ on the horizontal and 24K, but work with partners, whether it's the SBuild, whether it's the sensor providers, all plugged in all onto one platform, and that is the way forward. So that again, this is not only a demonstration project, but this is going to be a place that we're going to be staying in, and that's the reason why all of us are very excited about and passionate about getting it right, because we just need to make sure that we hit the nail on the head and address whatever, whether it's with Mark 2021, is it True Waste, or whether is it on Wells International. We just need to hit and all these benchmarks that we call it. So in terms of smart, our areas, our offices, and especially our meeting rooms will be having these sensors as well. I call it smart digital space. And this is some mock-up of we did in our collaboration hub. So this is where we we put in about 128 sensor points inside, and we did the entire project management on it, working with our various partners, whether it's Visio on the graphical user interface, whether it's Unavis, Philips 65 for the lights, and so on and so forth. And Crestron for the meeting rooms. But we work together to understand, how this is going to be, how this is going to be affecting the processes, relations, where data is going to move, how is it going to move, and I think the last one is cybersecurity as well, and also PDPA. So we've got this hand down, and we finished this project last year in our smart sensing. We've actually put it up for a Project Management Institute Award, PMI Award. We have been shortlisted to the final, so it's something that we're going to be very, very proud of. And really, if we do win something, it really is actually testimony on the three pillars of IDD putting together, especially the fourth one on smart asset management. Just share with you, we managed to kill rats with our system as well. There was some rat infestation, and again we said that look, let's use technology to do it, and we put rat sensors inside, monitored the vibrations, where was the highway the rat actually used, the rats actually use, and we placed the traps where they tend to congregate. Rats are creatures of nature, of habits as well, and when they did that, in 3 days we caught 3 rats. And I guess because of that, they then decided, and they told their family members, don't disturb SJ anymore. We never had any rat problem after that. So now we are moving to town councils, we're moving to our clients who have these issues, and we are now dwelling also with mosquito sensors and other pest-related sensors as well. Again, using technology to address all these issues. Environmental sensors, again on wellness, because we can state a lot of things. Oh, this is good for you, but how good? Why good? What did we use? Where did we use it? Where did we place it? All has to be studied properly. And again, all these will be going into our place for studies. We'll be using our Omni system, whereby it's from the BIM FM. So remember, I told you the 4 trust of IDD, right? So the last one, we are going to be taking the LD 500 from BuildSG, trim it down onto a LI, level of information, that is needed for FM, right? And then this will be going into our 24K for our FM work. We'll probably be looking at doing a digital twin on a scan of the face as well, so we can merge these two models together. We've actually tested it out with the collaboration hub, where we had a scan image, but we also had a BIM model as well mirrored, so that when we put the two on top of each other, fantastic things that you can actually see from there. So if you can do it for 440 meters square, what is 68,000 meters square? We will be able to expand this bigger and carry out really this, as you can see, whether it's data-backed design, decisions making, for example, real-time data maintenance. It has its own workflow management system, asset management, and so on and so forth. Right, so this is all I would like to share about our campus, because I have under 250. Very happy to, when we start moving in phases, which should be completed by next year. We'll be able to bring you to have a look, and very happy to actually share with you our command centers, our 40-man cave, as well as what we have actually done in our campus itself for IDD, sustainability, and also smart technologies, all working as one, to really improve the quality of lives of the SGNs inside and our clients. It means because we have other clients that are going to be moving in together with us. That's all I have to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Xia. The final presentation for this afternoon is from Shimizu Corporation, titled Shimizu Smart Site, a next-generation building construction system, presented by Mr. Indo Masahiro, Managing Executive Officer, Chief of Construction Technology Division. Mr. Masahiro Indo is the Managing Executive Officer and Chief of Construction Technology Division in Shimizu Corporation, overseeing the exciting development of construction robots and various ICT utilization. He joined Shimizu Corporation in 1979. For the past 42 years, he had been involved in milestone projects, such as the recovery of the Kobe city after the Great Hanshin earthquake in 1995. In 2010, he became the Managing Director of the Construction Technology Division in Japan HQ, responsible for developing and applying innovative technologies to improve construction productivity, quality, and safety. Let us welcome Mr. Indo Masahiro.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm very much appreciated for giving me a chance to speak here today. I'm Masahiro Indo, and so let me start the presentation. Since I joined our company, I'm experienced 30 projects in 26 years. I'll show my 3 most challenging projects. The Kannon Buddha statue project in 1994. This is the very first 3D CAD utilization in our company. Chang Airport Terminal 3 project, as you know, in 2008, we lifted up 600 tons of steel truss. We engaged 3D CAD for crash check and 4D process simulation. The bottom one is a special tent used after gigantic earthquake hit eastern Japan in 2011. This is an emergency cover to limit radioactive dust and gas from spreading out. Let me introduce our company as well. Our company was established in 1804 by Itsuke Shimizu, left side up. He looks like samurai, but not. He's a master carpenter, a builder, also a designer. In 2020, our sales were $13.4. We are the 26th largest contractor with over 10,000 employees. Shimizu Vision 2030, our long-term vision is to contribute to create a resilient society, inclusive society, sustainable society. Promoting SDGs are also in line with the basic principles of management. What you see here is the general concept for our new digital strategy. This is called Shimizu Digital General Contractor, which grounded in our ethos and heritage, also with craftsmanship spirit. The idea is to digitize all our operations, not only construction. To that end, the strategy has these 3 components: digital technology for construction, digital spaces and services provision, and the digital support for all operations. Out of digital technology for construction, we expand to the policy of Smith Smart Site. This is consists of M and R and F. Let me introduce some of the technical items under M and R and F. M for management. The smart monitoring dashboard dedicated to the project will monitor various information at the site and use it make decisions. Smart Station is an information satellite that allows people to obtain various information on site. It has functions such as 360-degree camera monitoring, Wi-Fi network station, power consumption monitor, process chart and drawing library, broadcast morning meeting, and temporary elevator operation icon. Through the smart station, our construction managers and workers can communicate whenever necessary and collect information on construction site. For robot work, autonomous robot, this one I will mention later precisely. For fabrication data with BIM and allow the processing of unique shapes that we've never seen. Sorry. The video right side, the 3D printing robot with the arms. The history of robotization in Shimizu started from 80s, almost 40 years ago. Like this. We started using robotics to improve productivity of our work conditions. Developed machine, fireproofing robot, welding robot, trowel robot, wall spray robot. Finally, these technologies were integrated into all-weather automatic construction system called the Smart System in 1994. The center. Our overhead factory Smart System was groundbreaking at the time. However, after applying 2 projects for some to mobilize and they could do only simple work at the time, they are abandoned because it was difficult to modify for each project. There was a blank in our history due to a recession after 2000. In 2014, we have chance to join project called STIC, held by the University of Tokyo under Professor Yusuke Obuchi. We are introduced to the Professor Matthias Kohler, ETH Zurich. We got a chance to visit ETH in 2015. We realized construction work robot can be here. Start robotics development technology. As soon as we come back to Japan, we propose and get approval for develop construction robot from our president with one promise that to make robot not to be abandoned. I made up these 4 policies. The flow on top shows the general work process of building construction. Retaining wall, excavation, foundation, structure, external finish, M&D, and finishing. Below that, you can find the comparison of manpower ratio in 2007 and 2017. Structural work has been decreased in this decade because of adapting steel structure instead of concrete, precast concrete structures, and industrialization. Conversely, M&D and the finishing has increased, as you can see. On this slide, circled in red, is the work we aim to be robotized in 2015. First targeted transportation and hoist work and welding work to be robotized, which we were facing shortage in manpower due to rough work conditions. Second, the target we were manual work, such as hanger board installation, ceiling finishing, or M&A equipment installation, which will require more than 50% of manpower at the time. We decided to develop robots for this work. Finally, You can see these are the robots we developed, called the robot carrier, robot welder, and the robot body. They can move, sense and think themselves, cooperate with each other, and most importantly, they work like buddies and they are reliable. All work is controlled by the RoboMaster cloud. Once the supervisor input instruction using an iPad rather than console, RoboMaster start managing and controlling multiple robots. This master is able to manage 8,000 robots at the 400 job sites across the country or across the world. Please take a look left side video, workers transporting plasterboard package of 1 ton weight. Actually up and down 5 to 6 workers involved together. Replacing this work, 2 robot carrier and robotized elevator collaborate and make transportation autonomously under RoboMaster cloud. Here you can see the ground level, 1 robot carrier is moving. Also, the elevator is robotized. Upper floor moving another robot carrier, and they modify their move route and the process under the RoboMaster cloud. This audio operation also they are controlled under the LiDAR. This is a laser control, the position. And this is the installation through the command from the iPad by worker. This is very easy input, only tapping the iPad. Then several robots move together. This is the application at the Osaka site. Autonomously detect the material and the load and unload themselves autonomously. Put in the elevator cage, the upper robot take out and deliver. Okay, so this is the ground floor. 16 number of the package put into the elevator cage and the upper floor delivery to each room like this, and the complete in 2 hours. So here is here is gradually applied in actual construction site. From 2018, we achieved 3,120 pallet delivery by robot in 12 projects. Here is a welder sitting a stack of wire reels, his chair, because he has to keep in a precise position and speed during his welding. Low welder can work all day long and not get tired like right side. This is detecting the grade by themselves. Clean the head and start welding. Robot can sense the shape of the groove at the first, then simulate the welding passes and decide how to weld by themselves. They sense the shape of the groove after every single welding pass, and they adjust their welding plan according to actual welding shape. They repeat it until complete. You can see the beautiful weld face. It's better than the manual weld because they never shake the torch while working. This is a video of how the robot senses the groove, left side, and also how to start welding autonomously. You can see the smooth surface of the groove. Okay, third one is a robot body. Let me introduce in the actual case. First, the center case. Ceiling board installation. Mark with pencil the position of subframe. Then take out the screw from his mark. And support the plaster board by his head and the left hand, and then fix by the drill. Robot body and the assist work the same process by their dual arm and move the next position downside. The left side is worker robot, right side is the assist robot. They sense the subframe and sense the material and lift up the board and fix by themselves. Okay. Let's see. Then after one panel installation, then go to the next place by themselves autonomously. Then start to install again. Okay. Second one is the right side case. Raised floor installation. The top is workers process. Firstly, set the pedestal and survey the height accurately, and the accurate position, put the accurate position accordingly to the marking. Next worker, dip it to the other shape. This is the other shape, and fix it again. Then finally, next worker install floor panel that is more than 10 kg. Robot work the same complicated process using dual arm and move to next position autonomously, all these robots. This robot is multitask robot, not the one movement. 3 workers tasks are done by one pair of robots, robot body and the robot assist. We observed actual work carefully and communicated many times with the worker at the site. This is a time-lapse video at Osaka project. And the first demonstration of robot body for race floor at actual site. Let's take a look. Robot makes the center area and the perimeter done by worker because need to cut the piece. Then go to the next place, day by day. Put the stem and put the panel. The gap is only 1 millimeter, so very precise work done by autonomous robot. This is a complicated arm. Deep into the other sheet, the slide. Measure the height. Adjust the height. Turn to green. Then finish. Okay, pink area was done by robot and the blue area by worker collaboratively. This is the 4th floor plan in Osaka. Colored area was done by robot. Also, this is the 5th floor plan, the colored area done by robot. This is 2 weeks work with 2 robots. This slide shows effect ratio by using robots. Each robot can save 70 to 80% workforce. That means 3 to 4 times productivity compared with human. But also we should know about overall, robots deserve only 2.0% of the manpower through all the projects. We started robot development from early 2016. 2017, we implicated to use RoboCarrier at Osaka site. RoboBody has been started to use trial cases at several sites. They experience many errors and bugs and defects. Robots have improved their consistency, durability, and safety. Just in September this year, finally RoboBody for race floor, as you see, start to work in actual site. Also, by the end of this year, all branch office in Shimizu will get RoboCarrier. This year will be spreading year of robotics construction. We developed 16 RoboCarrier and going to increase 24 number in all branches. Pivot type RoboWelder are launching now in Tokyo site, 4 arms, and they are welding 40 to 50 millimeter thick steel joints. Talking about RoboBody, we already installed race floor, as you see, in Osaka and expand to the larger scale in Tokyo next year. We are going to open this technology with any site without them willing to share the merit given by this robot in near future. We organized RX consortium recently in Japan, and we will start from there. Robot will make human happy and complete the tasks in collaboration with human. Robots can reduce humans' dangerous work and painful work. It's enabled to work by female or old people, that is work for diversity. Affinity with SDGs like number 3, good health and well-being, number 5, gender equality, and the number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Japanese government declared improved productivity on construction industry 20% by 2025. So our company also set up the target this year for the purpose of recovering worker shortage and better work-life balance. This is a conclusion of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Indo-san, for the presentation. We have now come to the panel discussion session. It will be moderated by Mr. Cheng Tai Fat, Managing Director of the Built Environment Research and Innovation Institute in BCA. Together on the panel, we also have Mr. Tan Chi Kiet, Group Director, Engineering, JTC, Mr. Adrian Ting, Head Innovation, Project Development and Design Management, Capital and Development, Mr. Praveen Chandrasekhar, Head, Sustainability and Resilience Office, Mr. Raymond Chan, Director, Construction Technology, Team Build Engineering and Construction. They will be joining Mr. Indo Masahiro in the panel discussion. For the audience on Zoom, if you have a question for the panel, kindly send them in using the Q&A function. I shall now hand over the session to Mr. Cheng. Mr. Cheng, over to you, please.
Yes, thanks, Walong. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you to join me on this panel discussion. I'm Taifa from BCA, and I'll be moderating this session. Earlier, we have heard from Jonathan of BCA on the Built Environment S&T plan, I think where he shared the 3 key transformation areas, and also on the R&I ecosystem put in place to curate projects from development to adoption. And we heard from John from JTC, they share on the many innovations that JTC is embarking on. And Eugene from SJ share on the various innovations for the upcoming SJ campus. And Mr. Indo-san share on the Shimizu smart site systems. All of them are exciting stuff on R&A, and we hope to gain more insights on how we can ride the R&I wave from our 5 panelists, representing a diverse group of developer, GPE consultants, and builders. For this panel discussion, I think we have about 45 minutes, and I hope to frame it along 3 broad areas. The first is to really talk about the current challenges facing our B sector. The second is on what R&I can do to meet these challenges. And third is really to cast our eyes to the future and have a sense of where R&I is pivoting to. So I'll start with the first broad question that I would like to pose to the panelists. Mainly looking from your organization lens, what do you think is the most critical challenge for our PE sector that will be facing the next 1 or 2 years? And what near-term R&I solutions you think would help to overcome these challenges? Perhaps I will first invite Chikit, who is familiar with both BCA and JTC scope of work, to kick off the sharing, and the rest of you can chime in later. Chikit, maybe you can give us some views.
Okay, thanks, Taifat. Hello, friends of the industry. A very good afternoon. Good to see all of you online, a bit virtually, and now I'm with a different organization, JTC now. Hope everybody is staying safe at this point in time. I think with regard to Taifat's question on the critical challenge, I think the first thing in the immediate term, fresh from everybody's mind, is probably on how we can, as businesses, recover from COVID. And one of the things that is impeding it, or rather slowing down that recovery, is really the shortage of manpower. Not just shortage, but also the increase in cost of manpower. So I think we need to find ways to actually reduce our reliance on manpower as well as talent. I think there's also a shortage out there, and it has been a perennial problem. So like what my colleague has presented just now, JTC, we have embarked on various projects that actually look at how we can reduce manpower on site. One of that is, of course, all the use of robots, all those things. And in the immediate term, I think it's really more about corporatization, where workers coexist together with machines to actually help to reduce the manpower on site and move the projects a bit faster. And of course, the other part is digitalization. I think it's not new. I think all of us have already been looking into it. But the next stage is really moving towards from building information modeling into something more integrated digital delivery. And that is where we have to plan from the start, right from the design stage, right down to the downstream construction and how we operate the buildings. So in the medium and longer term, I think sustainability will come in, of course, and also the other issue that we need to tackle on is really on our aging building stock. Sustainability is fresh on everybody's mind. On COP26, we talk about how we can limit our global warming to 1.5 degrees by 2030. And on Singapore SN, we have a Singapore SG Green Plan. SG Green Plan itself has talked about capping it to by 2030. We need to reduce our by 2050. We need to reduce our emissions, half it of our peak levels at 2030. And on the government's end, we actually have a Green Gov SG that talks about government side, public sector. We want to pick it at 2025. And with that, we need to reduce our energy and water consumption in the public sector operations of the buildings by 10% in 2030. So we need to look at how we can operate and develop a bit more sustainably. In terms of development, I think the industry has moved on to actually look at green concrete itself. That is something that we can help to actually make buildings a bit more sustainable. And in terms of operations of buildings, we have our building management systems. I think Eugene just now has touched on it. Those are the things that we should be looking at. The other challenge, of course, is our aging building stock. Granted, we are a young nation, about 56 years old or so, but I think it's very important that we look at how we can repair some of our older buildings using more resilient materials. And for new buildings, how we can actually use a bit more materials which are a bit more resilient. So in a nutshell, I've actually covered from what I think in terms of immediate, in terms of medium, in terms of longer term, what we should look at, the challenges that we'll be facing.
Yeah, thanks, Chikit. I actually caught three points you mentioned. I think probably about manpower shortages, talent, and also on aging infrastructure. Maybe I can invite the rest of the panelists if you've got anything to add on to what Chikit has shared. Adrian, anything you want to add on?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I fully agree with Chikit that I think labor is one of the key concerns as we experienced especially during COVID periods, because of the safe distance measurements, the stop works order. Suddenly we see a lot of activities stopped. So just imagine a scenario whereby the robotics as presented by Mr. Indo earlier on, or some of the other digital technology we already adopting in our site, then things will have moved much smoothly compared to now we literally have to stop and wait for the laborers to come back. Another situation we face actually in the construction industry would be the shortage of materials. So when laborers come back, material due to logistic transportation is not there, the work stop as well, slow down as well. So actually these two parts forms a very critical so-called path in the whole construction. But through digitizations, actually we see that if we are able to do a so-called virtual construction, able to preempt when is the resources in terms of manpower, materials will come in timely manner, then we are better well planned and better well prepared when such situation arises again.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. When you talk about shortage of materials, I probably see it more also as some kind of a supply chain resilient. Yeah, maybe I can invite Pravin to share his thoughts as a consultant.
Yeah, maybe I agree with both of them. So just to touch base on from where I'm representing, especially from the professional consultants. So building environment basically accounts for more than 40% of the carbon emissions, and that needs to be addressed. And moving forward, more developments will intend to move away from business as usual and embark on sustainable journey. So I strongly feel that the built environment sector has to embrace and integrate innovative technologies, which may not be so popular at this point in time, but at some point in time, we may need to start integrating this. So yes, there is a risk of capital investment and the functional requirements at some point in time, but it's imperative for both government and private partners to embark on R&I journey for technology adoption and how to better mitigate the risks. So that applicable to both maybe the carbon, the productivity, and the safety aspects as well. So it touches base on all the aspects of the built environment, and especially the immediate one is also the carbon. The long term, what we're looking by 2030, we need to reduce a certain amount of carbon footprint to stay within the 1.5 degree limit. So we need to embrace on technology. So yeah, that's something that we see is very important.
Thanks. Pravin, you talk about technology. But perhaps now I'll jump to Mr. Indosan and Raymond.
Okay.
I'll start with Mr. Indosan. I'll phrase the questions slightly differently. Yes. You have shared on that. Sorry, Mr. Indosan, you want to give your thoughts first before I ask you some other questions?
Fundamentally, all the environmental issues come down to the independence of energy, food, and materials. Singapore and Japan have a similar situation in this meaning. What we have to improve will be a less consumption of energy and material, and less transportation and recycle of the material. All these kind of action around us will be better productivity, is it? And also I feel the customer demand is changing now, more for the climate change and the sustainability. For example, last time we have more steel and the concrete structure, but now they like timber structure, using timber to fix the CO2, right? And also selection of the less energy, make light selection, light selection, and also air conditioning system, less consumption of energy, like that. And also I noticed that everything will be connected digitally. You see that the automatic driving car and also delivery, the building is not just a box. They want to know where the entrance. They need a map. So we need to connect by the digital data for other supplier like car or mobilities or people. People to people now already connected by digital with the iPhone or iPad, everything. And people will be connected to the building next. And the building to building also connected digitally in next generation. like smart city. So we need to be careful what's going on in a society, how the digital technology improve. That's all.
Okay, thanks. Raymond, you have to add on to what Mr. Indosan has shared from the builder's perspective?
Sure. I think the rest of the panelists mentioned about workforce. I think it's also a critical challenge to improve productivity. While we're moving more and more things off-site, it makes pre-construction activities even more critical. And having the accurate information in a collaborated environment using digital tools even more important. Because from a builder perspective, I think if you can cut down the construction period, okay, basically just imagine the amount of energy you can save from powering up construction sites. So I mean, there's very little influence builders can have in terms of materials because of specs requirement, the urgency to complete jobs. So these are some parts that we can contribute to actually move towards sustainability. And on the part of digitalization tools, we have the tools available, but I think it is a challenge now to make sure that various stakeholders use the right tools to provide accurate and aligned information so that things which are done off-site are done accurately to prevent any more abortive works and which in generally cost more concrete, more materials. Yep. So all in all, I think that will be the challenge that we'll be facing from a builder's perspective.
Thanks, Raymond. Maybe I go to a more specific question, probably addressed to Adrian from CapitaLand. CapitaLand basically is a major developer with huge real estate portfolio here and overseas. And hence, I would say that you are one of the key demand driver for solutions. Therefore, I think as a key demand driver, I think CapitaLand should be able to influence to a large extent the way we want to transform the B sector in Singapore. So as a leader in the B sector, where do you see or would you like to see the type of R&I solutions being implemented in your projects? And what would trigger such a decision for you to say that for my next project, I will want to put more weightage to innovation? I think this form of question also in line with one of the participants, Theodore Chan. He actually made this comment that developers should be encouraged to embrace building and finishing methods that use as little workers as possible. But of course, he also add on that there should be a public campaign to educate consumers, so that at the end of the day, consumers can also influence developers. And you also add that some encouragement should also be given developers who wish to adopt these innovations. So Adrian, maybe you can share some thoughts,
Okay.
As a developer. Yeah. Basically, how would you want to champion more innovations in your project? Yeah.
Okay. Actually, we have been very actively engaging with our consultant, with contractors, in some of the innovative ideas that we're going to put into project. Actually, right from the concept and design stage, we already convey some of these so-called requirements to improve either our productivity innovations, digitizations, or even to sustainability building material, innovative materials that are sustainable or reduce material usage right from the onset during concept and design stage. Actually, some of these so-called discussion with the consultants and with those early engagement with contractors as well, we bring it across the table to see whether is this something viable for the project, because not every project is the same, depending on location, geographical locations, availability of materials, and so-called technical competencies of respective trades in that regions. So it's very important that upfront we have to establish this understanding with consultant and contractor for it to be a successful case. Of course, in order to stitch all this together, there must be a so-called a common collaborative platform that each stakeholder is able to input concurrently and co-work within the same space to prevent gaps and communication during this whole process. But at the same time, I mean, this is just one part of it. Then, of course, in order to do that, of course, there must be a platform in order to do that. But every consultant, every contractor have their own preference in terms of the modules, the tools and systems used, right? So we can't force fit everyone to use the same platform that we are gearing to. So we are looking at something that's more nimble, agile, adaptive, so that it's able to take in from different project teams, different geographical locations, right? What they are familiar with, but at the same time, this platform is able to integrate all this together. But of course, in order to achieve this, then we have to establish the framework to have a proper so-called schema, taxonomy, standardizations, so that to facilitate this. But currently, I think this is something that we are still working very hard to achieve together with the team. So hopefully in this area, we hope to see more development in these areas. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. I think you have brought up quite a very important point. It's probably on the need to have some kind of standardization for the kind of informed requirements that we need across the value chain. Because if you don't have standardization, and then at the end of the day, you have many different platforms that cannot talk to one another. So I think that this is an effort that I think the B sector as a whole will eventually try to converge to. And this is also something that BCA and JTC is also currently driving to establish some kind of this common data environment for the industry. Thanks for your thought. Maybe I move on to Praveen. I think Eugene has shared on what you want to do for this, or what SG is going to do for their campus. I think there are a lot of new stuff that you are trying out. My question for SG is that there must be quite a lot of internal soul searching before you all come to a landing on what to do. Perhaps you can share a bit more on how this process was curated. And more important, what are some of the pain points before the plan was accepted? And more importantly, how much was the senior leadership instrumental in charting the way forward? Praveen, you want to share some thoughts?
Sure. So maybe I'll start from maybe the top down. What was the management vision? Because it's very important. We have a blessing from the higher management because it goes top down. So the sustainability, we SG management as a whole, we feel sustainability is at the heart of our decision making. The SG management strongly feel that we should push the boundaries in terms of technology adoption as a collective effort to meet not only Singapore's but also the global carbon reduction targets through our projects. And also this project can be one of the showcase piece of what we can achieve as a professional consultants. So as Eugene mentioned, the Subarna Jurong campus is our new global headquarters that will represent the Subarna Jurong group. And also it is located in the new Jurong Innovation Districts, an area earmarked by the government to be the future of innovation for enterprise, learning and living. Hence, the management always wanted to create a living lab, spearheading the R&I initiatives in the built environment. So you're right in asking how to select technologies, what are the bottlenecks, how to shortlist, and was it a smooth journey to reach where we are and what we're going to achieve end of the day. To answer your question, not. So although it looks like SJ campus as a name, but we have so many entities involved, and everything end of the day boils down to how much of value that e-technology bring when you innovate. So in terms of sustainability, it was rather, I would say, quite okay, because we wanted to achieve a super low energy building, maybe one of the block to be a net zero, but as we see as a overall as a building, so we stick back to look as a whole as a buildings, and we achieved Green Mark for platinum super low energy. So in terms of it start with sustainability as a key driving force, and then we look into how to make it digital and smart, So these are the other two initiatives, and there was so much of options available. So we really had to prioritize which will actually is aligned with our sustainability services. Alignment is very important to our business because that naturally motivates the stakeholders to take the decisions. So that's the reason, because we have SJ, we have a consultancy, we have managed services, including the facility management. So we thought that can we touch base on all these 3 pointers and showcase the technology which shows the best in class of all these services. So that's the reason the key aspiration for this RNI initiative, what we thought for campus is to have our campus to test bed for research and technology, so that we can showcase to our own clients, because sometimes it's very difficult to push the client to adopt new technologies when there is no use cases. So we thought that, okay, let's create a use cases for ourselves, then we can show to our clients and our partners and our own colleagues and building users to show how it can be done, to integrate design and technology together, because it sometimes feels that architects and technology don't go well, maybe a wrong notion, but we thought that, okay, let's see how that can work together, so that how even technology can work with the building services or even architecture services. Next is to invite tech and research companies to coexist with us in the campus to achieve greater efficiencies in terms of energy saving, overall user experience, safety, and productivity. So these are some of the aspirations, the challenges, and how we do it. And I would say one of the key success factors that we had is, so we thought of these technologies in a scalable and modular format. So don't pick technology which may be huge disruption to your timeline, your construction timeline, to your CapEx or your operational model. Pick technology which can be scalable, modular, and can be easily translated that into the user experience. So I would say these are actually the key success factors that we shortlisted and how we can actually embark. And we, along the way, we also got good support from BCA. So we've been shortlisted for Green Building Innovation Cluster funding, which also help us to offset some of the CapEx that is required to bring in this technology. So in a nutshell, it should be aligned with our business operation, so it makes easy for us to convince our stakeholders.
Yeah, thanks, Praveen. I try to link back to one of the things that Adrian mentioned about data schema and data taxonomy. So related to this SJ24K platform, and I think Eugene also shared about the smart FM part. So perhaps it's been interesting for the audience to know, because in order to understand how you want to have a better smart integrated FM system, you probably have to begin with the end in mind. Meaning, how, for the SJ Campus project, what was the process like in mapping out your information requirements, that at the end of the day, when you do the design part, you already know what you want to have at the end of the day for the operation and maintenance? Maybe you can just share some light on the thought process, or how SJ went through this methodology.
Sure. So for example, like when we started this project, so we truly believed in an integrated design approach, where the stakeholders has a major say. So here the stakeholders includes our management, our design team, the operations team, and importantly, the facility management team. So we make sure that we have input from all these stakeholders, so that we understand their pain points and see how this can be optimized. A simple example of even how the facade can be accessed, you can have multiple facade access system, but because if you see our campus, we have 70% glass, yet we have a ETTV of 35. So we did a lot of optimization on our facade, whether it is shading, whether it is self-shading, shading, external shading. So we need to have a lot of maintenance as well. So we kept that end in mind, how our FM team will maintain the building. So we engage them on access systems, what kind of materials can be used. And when it comes to technology, we also work with them to see what kind of technology they're going to integrate end of the day. We make sure that the infrastructure is catered so that they can do a plug and play later on for the technologies. So they have a smart, so our FM team is now implementing the smart, the applications where users, all the stakeholders can use it. So we need to make sure that we have a single IT backbone, which can be easily integrated with the technologies when it comes in. And we're also looking into various IoT technologies, which even was not applicable 2 years before. So now it's in the game. So we make sure that the IT infrastructure is there in the first place, and it's an open infrastructure so that it can be integrated with the future technologies. So this is something we made sure that the basics are right. We have right infrastructure for future integration, and later it becomes seamless. Yeah, we can easily integrate it. That includes our 24K platform. Yeah.
Thanks, Praveen. I think the rest of the panelists, please feel free to chime in if you want to ask additional questions. I'll move on now to Mr. Indo-san and Raymond, as builder. Mr. Indo-san, I think thank you for sharing this Shimizu Smart Site. I was actually intrigued by one of your slides that shows this tagline, digital contractor with the mindset of monozukuri or super craftsmanship. I hope I pronounce it correctly. But perhaps you can share a little bit more on what does this tagline mean. Okay, that's the first question for you. The second question is that Shimizu also started the robotics journey, I think, in the early 80s, right? If I'm not wrong, based on your slide.
Yes.
And in the recent 5 years, I think Shimizu has also developed autonomous robots, and close to 30 robots are being developed and deployed across Japan. So my question to you is, are there any plans to deploy them in Singapore? And also, what is your vision for the use of robots in the built environment for Singapore? So these are the two broad questions I have for you.
Okay, first one. Monozukuri, the craftsmanship is, we say that the digital contractor means everything moved by digital. So the alarm is we don't have to forget about the spirit to serve the customer well. This is our basic ethic in our company. So we digital, but still have a mind for serve the customer well. Every day, everywhere. So even the small thing, daily work, we think about customer. Basically, that is our policy. And going to digital, the BIM, building information modeling. So the digitally connected means digital data transfer from the customer to the designer, and they go to the construction site, and finally digital handover. So all this data on the BIM database go through, and we share in a same model, looking the same thing, not transfer on the paper. So all this data more and more grown up in a cloud, and finally digital twin will complete it with the customer. So design will be done by digitally using a digital technology like computational design. We say DDE, data enhancement, and all these data pass to the supplier. We can control the material delivery by this system, and also by this data we can make construction drawing. So all these digital data transfer until completion. This is our policy. And the next one, environment of Singapore and Japan is, some is similar, some is different. Japan has a more serious problem in shortage of skilled worker and work condition. If the robotics will effective in Singapore built environment, like better condition of work or less worker from abroad, all this one, if effective, of course we will go forward for it. We are planning to deploy in Singapore project soon, maybe this year and or next year, if we have chance. But depends on the corona effect. Okay.
Okay. Just an additional question. For the robotics and solution that if you deploy in Singapore, would it be only for Shimizu projects, or the same solutions can be open to any builders who are interested to use?
I think that still we are using it in-house, but we are going to deploy it in Japan next year for other projects in other enterprises. We just check with many site people that is effective and very productive using robot carrier. So this is the first application in Singapore, maybe near future, maybe next year. We are going to increase the number of this machine, robot. So coming soon.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Maybe now I move on to Raymond. As one of the more TeamBuild, as one of the more innovative builder in Singapore. Perhaps you can share a bit on how TeamBuild see robotics and automation as a key enabler to drive improvement in your company. And also in your view, what would you advocate for the government and the industry stakeholders to do next if we want to pursue a digital contract mindset along the lines that Mr. Indo-san has shared earlier? Raymond, your thoughts? Yeah.
All right. First, thanks for the compliment. I think that is not only, I don't think TeamBuild is the only one that is thinking along this line. But I think robotics and digitization is something that I think a lot of the members of the built environment is embarking on. Well, we are always looking at it, but in order for robotics and such digitization tools, I would call them to be successful. I believe there are certain parameters that we need to work on. Even in an off-site production environment, whereby robotics and not only just robotic, I will just scale out a little bit, mechanization, use of mechanizations to actually help do the work. There are not a lot of benefits to it at this point because there are just too much variation in our building system. There are just too much difference geometry, difference in size, where certain consistency are not there to fully optimize the benefit of mechanization and robotics. I mean, together with BCA, we've explored a lot of avenue in terms of fitting our works for PVBC, using robotic arms for robotic shutters for some of our precast components. I think most of the ICPH do have some of these, but the use at this point at time is still pretty limited because of the amount of the degree of variation from project within the same project itself and from projects to projects. So to really optimize this effort, it requires effort from the entire ecosystem, whereby we embark on what we have really a phase that we've always been using, DFMA. But FMA is always behind the D, whereby the design actually plays a very critical role in helping to push further the effort in mechanization and robotic. Yeah. So I think this is something that I think the entire ecosystem within the built environment is working on. There's a lot of work group that is already on this part. But as I see from Mr. Indo-san sharing just now, there are a lot of things that we can do. But before we can embark on that, I think we need to build out the basic infrastructure to be able to do that. I think one thing I look at Mr. Indo-san's slides is how neat the construction site are so that the robots can move around. I think we need to move to that stage before we start putting in the robots, rather than we put in the robots and people say, hey, it doesn't work in our environment. It's not true that it doesn't work. Mr. Indo-san and Shimizu have already shows that it works, but we have to provide the ecosystem, the basic infrastructure to reach that point where we say, okay, we have done so much. Next, we can further optimize it, putting in mechanized tools, putting in robots to do that. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Thanks, Raymond. So on this point, back to you, Chikit, from what Raymond said, I think JTC, from the slide, I also see that you're embarked on so many innovative projects. And I'm sure along the way, you have also managed to curate the kind of construction site that is more so-called progressive. Maybe you can share some thoughts on the strategy that JTC has put in place to move us a little bit further.
Okay. I knew this was coming the moment Raymond says you look at the designers or then look at the developers, right? So as a major procurer for construction services, I think it put us in a good position to implement some of those technologies in our projects. What we have done is actually to go through a test bedding of certain technologies. I think we have always, JTC has always looking at test bedding those technologies so as to drive the outcomes that we want in terms of safer work sites, in some of better quality projects, in terms of less manpower on site. So we have actually a dedicated divisions called Future of Building and Infrastructure, FBI in short. So we call ourselves FBI agents. Okay, so there's FBI. Do we need a CIA, a construction innovation agency out there? I don't think there's a need to, because at this point in time, I think within the government itself, we have also been designated as a building and infrastructure center of excellence itself. So we are looking at proliferating some of those technologies that we have tested, not just for JTC projects, but also to other government projects as well. And it's through all these platforms that we have adopted, BC has organized as well, that we share some of those innovations together with all our counterparts. So the way we see it is that we work closely together with not just the contractors, but also the IHLs to test some of those newer technologies. But of course, we be pragmatic, be practical about it. They must be of a certain technology level, and then we can then test it, scale it, replicate it in other projects. That was our strategy that we have adopted.
Thanks, Chikit. Okay, I think we have about 8 more minutes, and probably at this juncture, I'll try to do a wrapping up of the discussion. This question is for all of you. As thought leader in your organization, if you are to share a vision of where R&I will help us pivot, say, over the next 10 years from now, what would you tell your troops? How would you want to prepare them for this new change that's about to come? Maybe start with Chikit, hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. I think first thing, I think maybe it's really innovate to differentiate and value create. Don't just innovate for the sake of innovating, right? So I think just now, I think one of you have actually touched on that the management will set the direction. I think it's very important that management be very open about it. But innovation doesn't just come from top down. It could also go from ground up. We have seen that in some of SCAL's annual productivity and innovation awards, that the ground troops have actually managed to come up with great solutions that are practical. So I think it's important that management sets the direction, bottom, ground up, comes up with the solutions as well. And to all the small firms out there, I don't think there's a need for just to depend on the big firms to come out with innovation. It's possible that small firms could work together with big firms to come out with innovations. In fact, you can also do it yourself. I think as Jonathan just now have earlier presented, there are various, platforms and funding mechanisms that could actually support some of these initiatives. So that would greatly help. I think it's really important that we build our capability and future-proof for ourselves, our industry.
Adrian, your thoughts?
Yeah, okay. Actually, innovation support from top management is very important to start the top-down effect. That actually is also to cultivate this innovative culture within the whole organizations. That's why I think in CapitaLand we have a lot of these so-called innovation funds, encouraging all the so-called the colleague staff to come out and suggest some innovative ideas, or even pair up with startups to present their innovation that they can adopt, be it in the construction or FM realms. So this will help to promote awareness of innovations, and a fund allow them to tap on to test it. And at the same time, we will support the so-called the sustainability roadmap of CapitaLand as well. in terms of reducing the so-called energy consumption, improve our, lower our carbon emissions. So this thing will slowly scale up. I mean, once the culture is there in their daily works, right? Actually, they'll look out for all these things. Then they may think, I want to test this. Now I know where the funds will come from. Rather than they identify something, then they worry about, I don't have fund, I don't have a site to test it, and it just die off. So I think this mindset, this culture is very important. Like we always say, research is a path that was created after many expeditions. And innovation is actually new discovery along a well-traveled path. So for them to identify that, they must take the first steps. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Robin?
I think firstly, we should have a very strong mindset change, as what Adrian mentioned, push from the top down, and we need to think holistic. Thinking in isolation may not work. So for example, thinking only in terms of infrastructure without looking into the buildings, or looking only building without looking into infrastructure, or looking only into energy without looking into the embodied carbon. So we need to think holistic. Never stop innovating in our work, push the innovation, and think new ways of engaging the stakeholders. Very important to translate the message rightly at the right time to the right people. And lastly, you need to be the change that you want to see for this sustainable journey. So we need to continuously keep this churning out within the organization.
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Indersan?
Yes, actually the vision is very important. And also after the vision, the most important thing is R&I application should be practical. Before select some solution, we have to observe carefully everything, work and get information as much as we can. The success will confirm 80% in this process. And also, I feel, as I mentioned before, there are no border between industry and industry. Because all the things will be connected, we say IoT. So think digital and transfer digital. And this is some format connected, same the format and interface. All this one is connective and move forward. So digital connectivity always concern about our future. Okay.
Thanks. Raymond?
Okay, for my own guys, I'll probably tell them to make use of the tools. Tools are available, but use the tools the way that we be open to use the tools and not get tools, make use of them and not use tools to make use of you, and you have to work a certain way to make the tools work. Or to the entire built environment itself, I would say probably we need a more cohesive R&I, whereby not everybody start developing different software, and in the end we end up with so many softwares in the market and we do not know who to use. And in the lower chain where the subcontractors or the specialist suppliers are, in the end, if we are serving different main contractors or main developers, there's so many different softwares or different tools that you need to use. So let's make use of the tools to benefit us, to make our work easier, but still stay relevant with our trainings and our judgment to see how to best use all these tools, be it digital or is it the conventional tools. Yep.
Yeah. And then thank you all for your sharing. I think that's all the time we have for the panel discussion. And I hope the audience find it a fruitful session as well. So I will just get the MC to take over from now. So thank you again, panelists, and thank you to the audience for listening in.
Thank you, panel members and moderator, for the very insightful discussion. This brings us to the end of the forum. On behalf of BCA and JTC, we would like to thank our distinguished speakers and panelists for taking the time out to share their experience and expertise with us today. To our webinar participants, thank you too for joining us. You may now exit the webinar platform. Once you've exited, you will be automatically directed to a feedback form. You will be able to download the presentation materials once you have submitted the form. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.